All right. So anyway, was tonight not a great podcast?
Tonight is an excellent podcast. I mean, we were there.
Yeah.
So
I think the people are going to be in for a treat.
Yeah. I guess we should tell them who it is tonight. Tonight, our guest
is Larry Mitchell.
Larry came by the Audioscape studios as well.
Yeah.
And we did the podcast episode with him there, and he also graced us with an amazing live performance from inside of our studios. The talent that he has is
and there's some collaborations that happened that night too, and those performances, we're going to leak those out.
Oh no!
Once a week over the course of the next month. So, because I believe we have about 90 minutes of performance time.
Yeah. There's quite a bit. There's quite a bit.
New mascot made an appearance.
New mascot made an appearance. I don't know if it's technically new.
He definitely made an appearance. If you don't know yet,
he's gonna be more so apparent here soon.
It's gonna be at NAMM.
Yeah, he's gonna be at NAMM.
Keep an eye open for that at NAMM, everybody. And I think you'll know what we're talking about after you watch this.
He's gonna be at NAMM. Yeah, he's gonna,
Yeah, but Larry, amazing guest.
Yeah, Larry, amazing guest, and so nice.
Extremely nice.
Extremely nice. Very humble.
Yeah.
It was just so great to see him, and also Katie Martin.
She was an amazing talent as well.
Oh my goodness! If you haven't yet, just go and check out both of their music. Larry
we'll leave all the
Katie.
links below in the description for you could check out all their IG. You could check out their websites, their music.
Yeah, I think Katie owned her. I think I overheard her talking that her music is just on Bandcamp right now.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just on Bandcamp, but we'll be going to all the major streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Here in the next couple months. So that's what I overheard. I could be wrong. So
yeah, well, we were blessed with both performances, and everybody stay tuned for that on tonight's episode of The Sonic Truth. Coming up too in the next, I would say, week or two, we're gonna have a new segment that is called "Show Us Your Stuff," and we're gonna play a little snip of that tonight in the podcast, so you can kind of see what that is pertaining to. And in the meantime,
I mean,
let them enjoy the podcast.
Let them enjoy the podcast.
All right, guys. All right. Peace.
Chili sauce.
Chili sauce.
Chili sauce.
Well, thank you for coming out, Larry.
Oh, we on? Are we live?
I guess so. Yeah, why not?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is awesome. I'm very happy to be here.
Very happy to have you. So first of all, what brings you to Florida? What brings you down this way?
There's a place not far from here called the Atlantic Center for the Arts, and it's a place that it's one of my favorite places. Period. And it's kind of a place where magic happens for artists. They are very big supporters of artists. So in turn, I try to be as big a supporter for them as I can. And they have a fundraiser called Horsing Around, which I believe was originally got that name because it was the fundraiser was held on horse grounds.
Oh, yeah.
I do like horses.
Yeah.
Even though I'm from Brooklyn originally. I did have horses when I lived in New Mexico, but I was terrified of them first. But now I love horses. So then last year, because of pandemic reasons, they moved it to on the grounds, which made more sense than ever for people to come that are going to donate money and to experience the ACA. And you have to really experience it. They have, I think, 28 or 29 cottages there for artists to stay in, and they have a couple of master cottages for the people instructing and stuff. They have a theater, a dance studio, a pottery studio, painting studio, an small outdoor amphitheater, a museum, and they have all kinds of artists there, all kinds of arts, and they're big supporters of that.
That's awesome. I've actually been, and it's beautiful there. And one thing I noticed, you're talking about where the artists can work. They have these signs that are like, shush.
Yes.
Artists working. I'm like, man, how do I get this?
Yeah. And what's funny about those signs is like the artist could be making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
They're drilling and building things and welding and stuff like that. But yeah, you could put one of those signs out by your tube garden there.
Yeah, true. Tube garden's a great idea. I like that. So I know someone was mentioning you have a gig coming up soon too, right? Aside from doing the ACA, you're did you say Tallahassee?
Tallahassee. This is the start of my. I've been home most of the year. I've gone out for a couple of things here and there, but this is the start of 7 weeks, I think, or more, 7 or 9 weeks.
Wow.
Of doing things. So I have. There's an event called the Word of South Festival in Tallahassee, Florida, and that's this weekend, the 8th, 9th, and 10th of April. And so I'm doing a show myself, and then there's an artist that I've had the pleasure of producing and playing with for many years. Her name is Joy Harjo. She's actually for the third year in a row, the United States Poet Laureate. And she's the first Native American poet laureate of the United States. So we're playing, and then there's an artist from Germany named Fabiana Striffler, who's a jazz violin, avant-garde player. I'm going to try and sit in with her, and she's going to sit in with me. She can easily sit in with me. Me trying to sit in with a jazz artist is unique. It's different. So it's going to be fun. But they try and put poets and authors with musicians and see what they come up with. This one, Joy and I have kind of a head start because we've been working together for a long time, and a lot of the things she's done. She's a great saxophone player and Native American flute player, and just bold. I'm going to play any instrument at least once. Give it a try.
Oh, that's cool.
But she's a great writer. And so we've done this before where I've done some atmospheric stuff, and she's been doing, reading and stuff like that. But we're going to play some songs as well.
Oh, that's cool. We'll have to get some links too, so everyone can see who you're talking about and what they do, because that sounds really interesting. I'm interested in checking it out. So I know yesterday we were talking a little bit about NAMM.
Yes.
And I know we're doing NAMM this year. We'll be in the pro audio section like we always are, kind of in the same area. But you were telling me about some interesting gigs and events you've done with NAMM in the past. And I just thought that was really cool.
NAMM is interesting for me because I've been going since just out of high school, since like 1983 or 84, I think was my first one. And I used to endorse a guitar company, and they would bring me every year. I was there with them for 26 years, and we've done some interesting. They were known for doing these elaborate shows with Steve Vai and Joe Satriani and stuff like that. I've done some of those interesting shows, and I've done some events for other companies. And for the last 7 years, other than, if we don't count last year, the last 2 years.
I don't think anyone counts the last 2 years.
They don't exist. I've done a jam in the Marriott lobby, and the last 4 of those, I believe, were. We had 2,000 people. That's the maximum inside the Marriott lobby, all over, every nook and cranny. But if you get 2,000 people in the lobby, they shut it down. Not the performance. They just go, they won't let anybody else in.
They close the doors,
and
right? They lock them up.
Yes. And we've had, I'm fortunate, when you're around long enough, you end up meeting a lot of people, and some you can call friends and some you just know, and they know you. So I've guilted some people into getting up and jamming with me, and some friends wanted to jam with me. So, okay. There's House of the, there you go.
Yeah.
So I've had Richie Kotzen, which we go back to the Ibanez days, in fact, when Richie was maybe 16, 17 years old.
Oh, wow.
I've had Andy Timmons, one of my favorite guitar players in the world, and I've known Andy for 30 years, and he's come up multiple times to play. My friend Travis Larson is a great guitar player. He's come up to play. Vernon Reed.
I bet that was cool. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had to really, I'm sorry if I'm leaving people off, but every year they give you 50 minutes, and I do 4 songs with my band, which could be 50 minutes. And then we start bringing guests up, and a lot of times they'll look at me like, "Hey, you've been on for an hour and a half." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he goes, "Can you wrap it up?" Like, I got one more guest. Who is it? And I tell him, they go, "All right, just one song." So I've had some really great guests.
Yeah, it's an interesting experience. Just going out, just the amount of talent, the equipment that's being displayed there. It's just mammoth.
People come from all over the world.
Yeah. So looking forward to seeing you out there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to coming out and seeing what new stuff you guys. I've kind of noticed some things around here, but I don't know what they are, and I'm not going to bring them up. But I imagine they'll be out at NAMM.
It's lots of secret things in the works always.
Secret things.
We try to keep them secret these days, but
it's hard to keep things secret.
Yeah,
these days. You got Alexa in the house.
Secrets don't tell friends.
Hey, Audioscape is being Alexa's selling it before you have it out there.
I know, right? Yeah. So, how did you hear about Audioscape?
I'm still not totally sure, but I was looking for, at the end of last year, I had done a film score with a Native American artist, cellist named Dawn Avery. We've written lots of different cool projects together. And I was like, I need to get some gear. And I have an old school Trident Series 65 console, 36 channels, 24 bus. And I had gotten it originally just to track drums. I have some other mic pre's and compressors and stuff like that. But so when I'm working with artists I produce, a lot of times it's just me and the artist, and I'm just recording maybe 3 things at a time. Yeah. But when I needed to track drums at the same level, you needed some good gear. So I got the board, fell into my lap in a most beautiful way. But I was looking at the board and go, I want to do more analog. Like really, I have analog front end, but I want to do some more analog all the way around.
Yeah.
Still going to have a tape machine. I mean, a tape machine. I'm going to have a Pro Tools or Luna or something, Logic, as a tape machine. But I have this board. I want to mix on it. And I decided to commit to mixing at least 2 projects a year on it. At least 2. If I could do more, that'd be great. But sometimes artists won't understand that, hey, can you change my vocal or can you bring this up just a little bit? Like 2 weeks later, it's like, no, that mix is completely gone.
You've committed.
It's committed. You got to say, and I can't go on to the next song until we go, yes, we're done. Is it done? So I was looking for EQ. I found one that someone had made themselves, and I got that. And I started reading about it. I went on the Gear Space page. And I found this long thread about the Pultec EQs, and then got into LA2As, and I was like, I want an LA2, a real LA2A of some sort, like an analog. And then I saw your name. You had piped in a couple of times. I was like, what is this company? And I followed and went down a rabbit hole into YouTube, and it's like, this is cool. So then I went to your website. Well, I went to the Instagram, and then I saw this, because I went to the website. Actually, I did go to the website first, but everything was sold out. And I was like,
what's the deal?
Yeah, what's the deal? So I go to Instagram, and it said on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And first I thought it was like an auction. You have to bid on it.
Oh.
And then it's like some more, and I was like, all right, I'm going to get an LA2A. And I tried. And I tried. There are, that's how popular your stuff is. It took me almost a month to even figure out, and that was the help of emailing and messaging and stuff like that. But I ended up getting the 2A and an 1176 FREV, which is great. And I do want to get one of your Pultecs, and probably your bus compressor. But I'm going to wait on the bus compressor just to see what else you guys come up with.
Well, first of all, bus compressor, that's just such a great general purpose. Yeah. Like that was our first product. So,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Way back in 2016. And it's just been our best seller. And so many people used it for so many things that we're like, we used it for the sound effects on the Marvel movie, all this weird stuff that you hear about. You're like, wow, that's crazy.
Cool.
I just watched one of those movies with my kids, but,
yeah, I'm a Marvel fan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, a little bit, just, whatever the kids watch, you know how it goes. So, but no, I'm trying to think. There was you mentioned EQPs. Mm-hmm. I think. Are you looking for a mono or stereo, or what are you thinking?
Probably a mono.
Probably a mono. Mono's great.
Do you have a stereo one?
No. If people buy stereo pairs, and then those before or even after a bus compressor, for instance, magic on a mixed bus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely magic as far like in the sense of taking the blanket off the speakers kind of magic. So I that's one of my favorite ways to use them. A lot of other people too. They buy stereo pairs that way with that in mind. So just food for thought.
I will take your word for it. I believe you. Yeah, I totally believe you. Now I got to think about two. All right.
So you were asking me, you were like, is there anything I shouldn't ask or whatever? Yes. Is there anything that you thought that would be a weird question?
No,
because we are totally transparent here with anything. So
no, I just reading on the gear pages and the there are analog people and tube people that really dive in and they take it very personal and very deep.
They get
a little nuts and stuff like that. I don't know. Like when I was here yesterday, I got to see you guys working on stuff, and I'm not sure everybody out there understands that. They might think it's a big factory where there's an assembly line of people sticking a tube in and then they send it on to the next person.
Tubes
are in. All right, you should put the circuit board in now. You put the knobs on and stuff like that.
It's done.
And this is a hands-on. This is like a boutique factory.
Yeah, everything is ear tested.
I wouldn't call it a factory, boutique shop.
Yeah, it's a boutique shop. Exactly. It's a small shop. Everything's ear tested. Is it good enough for our studio? You know, because if we don't ship it out unless it is.
And you have different levels of testing, right? That's where the assembly line comes in. It's like, all right, I think this works. And then you pass it and it's like, no,
got to kick it back. Yep.
Kick it back.
Yep.
That I found impressive. And how many tubes you guys go through.
Yeah, a lot. It just depends on the product, but some of them, like the Golden 58s, it's just ridiculous the amount of tubes we have to go through just to find the magic pair or, trio.
So some of the tubes that some of the tubes you reject for the Golden preamp is not because the tube's bad. It just didn't jive with the other tubes, right?
Yep.
So you can use those tubes in other products.
Yes,
okay.
And that, and they may even work in another build. It's just finding how they coordinate together.
That's pretty finicky.
Yeah,
that sounds like it takes a lot of time.
It does. That's why everyone's like, I don't understand why you don't sell all 300 at once. Just bear me with the tube garden if that's what happens, because it takes a long time to tube roll one. For sure. So, doing 5 a sales day is stressful enough,
Okay.
For what we're doing for sure. So
you're doing 300
total.
That's it.
Any
particular reason why you're doing 300?
We mainly the input transformers that we use 4 of them per unit. We have some new old stock ones that we're using. So in addition to new old stock tubes, which that really isn't the concern too much. It's mainly the transformers that we're using, which are great. They were using a lot of Euro consoles in the late 60s, early 70s. Okay. These transformers, and they're awesome. They're completely flat from 20 hertz to 50 kilohertz, which is really cool because the circuit has a lot of character and it's got a natural high end roll off and things like that you would expect from a tube amp. But you have these crazy transformers, and it creates just something sort of unique and special between the two of them.
Okay, you mentioned character. So one of the things I when I got my Opto from you and my 1176, I tried it. I tested them out, and I have another company's 1176 D-Revs, which I thought worked. I mean, they compress and they do stuff. And I was like, all right, this is cool. And it kind of like some of the plugins I have, and some plugins sound different than other plugins. I plugged yours in and there's oh, that's right. Analog gear has a character to it. And you either jive with the character of that or you don't. And then some analog pieces have a flavor that it sounds like the other ones, but slightly different than the other ones. And, so then I went back and listened, not to really dog on another company's stuff, but I listened to that again and I was like, oh no. So I have 6 channels of outboard gear, like mic, pre, compressor, EQ, besides my board. Yeah. And I started going down the line of I want to be able to, again, have different stations set up with all set up ready to go. So when that creative process hits, and when I have several people, I have some artists coming down from Nashville to work with me this year.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to be a think tank and it's going to be working fast. I can't be going, hey, let me just set up a mic over there. I want to just turn switches on or have them, tube gear or analog gear.
Routed. Yeah.
Have it on right at a time. And so I had, in my priority, I was like, oh, wait, so those 1176s, the other ones, didn't actually make it in that. They're just hanging out right now. Because the character was different. And, so I can go down the rabbit hole of stuff I need to get.
Yeah. Well, they're filling the racks. They're definitely filling the racks. So, no, that's awesome. That's great to hear. Yeah, that the characters, that's for us at this point, everything. I think back when analog gear was the only option, people were looking for clean a lot.
Yes. So I grew up on the other side. I was, in my New York days, I'm the guy that came in and played guitar on a lot of tracks, and people had gear. And I remember a thing that I cry over now is that I was in a band with this guy, Steve Missel, and he came back from a studio closing sale, and he had a U-47, which he paid $200 for.
Oh, my goodness.
And he had a handful of ribbon mics. He goes, I probably won't use these. I was like, what else? He goes, ribbon mics. And I'm like, all right. I love ribbon mics now. I love ribbon mics. But, all that stuff. Engineers were complaining about darkness. They were complaining about, tape is dark and ribbon mics are dark. And then, don't use that EQ because it's an EQ, but it starts out dark, or this starts out. And then when digital came, I remember people were talking about, this is cool. You can finally hear things that way. And when I got into being on the other side of recording, I started with, I was around and working with people doing tape, and I learned a bunch of stuff like that, but I wasn't the only, they were real engineers doing that. That's just a whole nother world. And then I got to ADATs for a minute, and then I owned DA38s and a Ghost console. And that's when I was like, all those engineers that were complaining about things being too dark and dirty and not clear, we're talking about how digital was just too bright and harsh. And so the audio world goes round and round and round.
It was almost like a gross overcorrection, in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, and I remember the other side of it, like not obviously, as long as you. I'm only 40, but I remember like when I was coming up, we were still recording the tape, and then everything switched to digital there, and it was really, really bad in the beginning. The digital transition, if you go back and listen to some of those records, so the songwriting wasn't bad on some of, especially the pop stuff or whatever, but man, it was just, it was brutal on the ears.
I think there were two things, and I'm probably going to get hate mail for this, but there were two things that were a problem in the late 90s, because Pro Tools went to more than 8 tracks, in 97, I think, somewhere on there. One of the cool things about old school engineers were they came in, you set up your stuff, they looked at your rig, they stuck a mic in, and they immediately started, some guys would start EQing right away. They knew the mic they had, they knew the amp, they listened to the sound you had, and they knew what tape machine they were going to, and they started EQing without even hearing stuff, just in general. And there were things that you knew, those guys knew the room, they knew the equipment, the only variable were what you brought in. And some of those guys took that to the digital world, and that didn't work. And then you had the digital, the converters and everything. It was harsh. There was harshness to start with. So I think those are the two things that led to some really weird recording stuff in the beginning.
Transition. Yeah. It was just, the whole, we could go down the rabbit hole, the music industry transitioning around that point too. But yeah, it was just crazy. The whole digital revolution.
Digital revolution. And then you had large companies realizing that the market wasn't making large format consoles anymore. And so it was like everybody was coming up at home studios. So they were gearing towards that. And then I think some companies weren't making things really that good for the home studio market. They were just capitalizing on the home studio market. And now I think it's understood you have to make good stuff on every level.
Yeah.
And what you're doing is taking what's been standard or long sought after parts of the analog world from the 70s on up, 60s, 70s, and making it available today, true to the original, is great. And your price point is like, wow, which is probably why they won't stay on the shelf. That helps, because you can buy some of the vintage gear, but it's crazy prices. And you can buy some of the people making vintage looking stuff, but it's not made to the original specs like you guys are doing it.
Yeah. Well, we're just trying to be we're musicians, we're artists as well. So we're the goal of the company started out, and it still is the goal, is to be a resource for people. Like, it's to make music better. I know, not to sound cheesy or anything like that. That's the true heart and soul of what this company is. So like the music that we all listen to, we want it to improve. And we know it's in the home. A lot of it's being recorded at home. So it's but we ship to the biggest studios, the smallest. So we're just happy to have it out there working. Yeah.
No, I get it. I see it in. I watch some studio rig rundowns, and every now and then I get a couple of pieces. I'm like, oh yeah, it's great. I watch a lot of rig rundowns. One of the things I did teach for a while at the College of Santa Fe, and one of the interesting things that they had there were Reason was out too, and Reason was like electronic music awesomeness. But they used at the College of Santa Fe, and Berkeley School of Music did it as well. In order for a university to teach how to wire things and stuff like that, they'd have a Mackie 16-channel board and a couple of reverbs and a keyboard and stuff like that. They had everything that was in the Reason rack, right? But you'd have it at first you'd have like 11 of those, and you can have 11 people in a class. Then they realized they can have one or two of those, and then have the Reason in there. And if you can do it in the real world, you could do it in Reason.
That's interesting. Yeah.
When I taught at the College of Santa Fe, we tried to have a lot of analog gear there. I don't know if that's still the case. You had the analog gear, and then you got to learn how to use the analog gear, listen to it, and then you tried to redo it in the digital world, which I still think works. So I'm going to say to people who run music departments at colleges, and even my friend Pat Patton at is a high school, which has like a ridiculously great music program at their high school, you should check out some Audioscape stuff because it's true to the original. I think, and then have a rack of that and go, these are plugins, but in the real world, this is a real.
One thing, it's funny you mentioned the audio programs. A lot of people that work here actually went to Daytona State College, the audio program there. They learned how to like solder a guitar pedal or do something there, and then they wanted to carry on, and there's this whole sort of infrastructure of people that work here that went to audio schools, and whether it's Full Sail or Daytona State and it's just really neat, to see like a lot of people, we know each other here, just through those interconnections there through the audio schools. So,
by the way, I can't solder at all. I can't solder so bad that in 19.
That's Trevor saying he can't solder and he works here. So that's. That's sad.
I think it was 89 or 90. DiMaggio gave me some new pickups to put in one of my guitars, and I managed to burn out the pots in 3 guitars. I was only supposed to change the pickups in one, and burn my fingers. And so at that point, I had no guitars that worked anymore. And I called them up, and they said, you bring the guitars here. And I of course didn't learn. I'm from New York. I didn't learn how to drive till I was in almost 36. There. I had to get on a train, took my 3 guitars on the train to Ibanez. I got there, and then after fixing the guitars, he said, give me your phone number of your techs. So I had 2 guitar techs for live shows. He called them both. He goes, I want you to go to Larry's house, find all the soldering irons, and throw them in the trash. I have not picked up a soldering iron since. So there won't be Artist Day here with me.
Well, I know Oh,
Okay.
yeah. It is getting about time. So, well, thank you so much, Larry.
Sure,
We're gonna have
thank
a
you.
performance. So
I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And will you be a guest on my?
I will attempt. It's been a hot minute. So
Okay.
you know.
But I also want to talk with you on my
Okay.
show as well.
All
I'll
right.
introduce them to it. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Is
right.
that cool?
Yeah, I could be your avant-garde guest.
All right. So this week's merch pack winner is
John Osborne at John Osborne Music on Instagram. We are pulling from our YouTube subscribers and our Instagram subscribers now, so please be sure to follow us on both for your chance to win the next merch pack.
Absolutely. And stay tuned for our upcoming episodes as we'll have more merch packs.
Merch packs, giveaways. You never know what we have up our sleeves.
Might be something else.
Might be more than merch.
Yeah. But the only way you're going to find out is if you subscribe to Instagram or on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Subscribe, and you got to watch in order to find where your name is and stuff. Because, this might be at the end. It might be in the middle. It might be halfway through an interview, and we just drop it in there. It gets cut off.
Yeah.
We might throw it at the beginning.
You miss out on...
Actually, we'll never throw it at the beginning. So,
well, yeah, exactly. Stay tuned on that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So, John Osborne Music, claim your merch pack. And in the meantime, everybody else, have a creative day and peace out.
Chili sauce.
Chili sauce.